Commander Jake Rivers watched the Zephyrian fleet positions on his tactical display, a smile creasing his weathered face. After 3 years of joint operations, the alliance between Earth and the Zephyrian Empire had proven more successful than anyone dared hope. The crystalline beings had shared their advanced shielding technology, while humans contributed their tactical flexibility and what the Zephyrians called their chaotic creativity. Admiral Kane, Zephyrian Command confirms. They're ready for the final push against the Nexus stations. Rivers reported through the comlink to Earth's Fleet Command. The operation would cripple the hegemony's supply lines and potentially end the war that had ravaged this sector for decades. Admiral Kane's gruff voice crackled back. Copy that, Jake. Remember, once we take those stations, the hegemony's done. The Zephyrians got the territorial concessions they wanted, and we secure safe passage for human trade routes. Everyone wins. Rivers nodded, watching as the combined fleet, 200 human vessels alongside 400 Zephyrian crystalline ships, moved into attack formation. The humans had always been outnumbered in this alliance, but their adaptability made them invaluable. Where Zephyrian tactics were precise and calculated, human commanders brought unpredictability that confounded enemies across the galaxy. The hegemony's Nexus stations hung in space like metallic spiders, bristling with defensive arrays. Intel suggested they were lightly defended. Most of the hegemony's forces were engaged in other sectors. It should have been a clean operation. Zephyrian lead. This is Rivers. Beginning attack run on Nexus 7 as planned. Acknowledged, Human Commander. We shall coordinate as discussed. Rivers felt that familiar pre-battle tension as his squadron accelerated toward their target. The Zephyrians moved with their characteristic mathematical precision, their energy weapons painting geometric patterns against the void. Human ships wove between their formations, ready to exploit any openings their alien allies created. The first wave of attacks struck the Nexus stations perfectly. Hegemony shields flared and collapsed under the coordinated assault. Rivers allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This partnership had evolved into something beautiful. Two species complementing each other's strengths. Then everything changed. Commander, his sensor officer shouted. Zephyrian ships are adjusting their targeting solutions. Rivers spun toward the display just as crystalline energy beams lanced through space, not toward the Nexus stations, but directly into the human formation. The first salvo caught 3 destroyers unprepared, their hulls splitting like paper under weapons that had once protected them. What the hell, Rivers began, but his words died as the tactical display updated. Every Zephyrian ship had turned their guns on their human allies. The attack patterns were too coordinated, too perfect to be anything but premeditated. All human ships, this is Rivers. We're under attack. Repeat, the Zephyrians have turned hostile. Break formation and another wave of energy beams cut through. The cum chatter, and 2 more human ships vanished in brilliant explosions. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Sci-fi stellar conflict is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you're hungry for HFY battles and tales of human valor against alien might, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us bring these front lines to you. Rivers watched in horror as the trap became clear. The hegemony stations weren't lightly defended. They were bait. The Zephyrians had fed false intelligence to their human allies, luring them into a killing field. Worse, as Rivers looked at the tactical display, he realized that hegemony reinforcements were jumping into the system. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a carefully orchestrated alliance between the Zephyrians and humanity's enemies. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship, his communications officer reported, her voice shaking. Put it through. The angular features of Commander Vex materialized on the screen, his crystalline face showing what might have been satisfaction. Commander Rivers, your species has served its purpose. The hegemony has offered us territorial concessions far exceeding what your primitive civilization could provide. Consider this a termination of our arrangement. Rivers felt rage building in his chest, but his voice remained steady. You're making a mistake, Vex. Humans don't forget betrayal. Your threats are meaningless. Your fleet is outnumbered 6-1, and you possess no advantages we have not already accounted for. Surrender, and we will ensure your deaths are quick. Counteroffer. Rivers replied, his smile returning despite the circumstances. Go to hell. The transmission cut, and Rivers turned to his crew. Around them, the human fleet was already adapting. Smaller ships using their superior maneuverability to avoid the worst of the Zephyrian barrage, while the heavier vessels returned fire. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but Rivers saw something in his crew's faces that the crystalline beings had never understood about humanity. When cornered, humans didn't break. They got creative. The emergency session of the Terran Defense Council convened within hours of receiving Commander Rivers' final transmission. Admiral Kane stood before the holographic display, showing the massacre at the Nexus stations, his jaw clenched as he delivered the grim report. Out of 200 ships, only 47 made it back, Kane announced to the assembled military leaders and civilian officials. The Zephyrians didn't just betray us, they handed our tactical data, ship specifications, and operational parameters directly to the hegemony. Every alliance we've built in this sector is now compromised. President Morris leaned forward in her chair, her expression grave. How long before they reach Earth? The Zephyrian hegemony combined fleet could be here in 6 weeks if they move. Aggressively, Kane replied. They'll expect us to fall back, consolidate our remaining forces around Sol System for a defensive stand. Classic human doctrine would dictate exactly that response. Director Hayes from Strategic Intelligence cleared his throat. Which is precisely why we won't do it. All eyes turned to the weathered spymaster as he activated his own holographic display. The Zephyrians think they understand human military doctrine because we've been operating within their framework for 3 years. They've seen our official tactics, our standard formations, our by-the-book responses to conventional threats. What are you suggesting? Morris asked. Hayes smiled, and there was something predatory in the expression. They've never seen what humans do when we stop playing by alien rules. Admiral, I recommend we activate the Prometheus protocols. Kane's eyes widened. Hayes, those protocols were theoretical. We've never field-tested them. Which is exactly why they'll work. The moment we started cooperating with alien species, we began adapting our strategies to their sensibilities. Honorable warfare, predictable formations, civilized rules of engagement. But humans didn't become the apex predator on Earth by being honorable. We did it by being adaptable, ruthless, and creative. President Morris studied the classified documents Hayes transmitted to her tablet. The Prometheus protocols outlined military strategies that had been developed but never implemented, tactics considered too aggressive, too unpredictable, or too psychologically devastating for conventional interstellar warfare. Guerrilla operations, false flag attacks, psychological warfare, she read aloud. Some of these tactics border on ... barbaric? Hayes finished. The Zephyrians and their hegemony allies are about to learn why human military history is filled with asymmetric victories against superior forces. Admiral Kane pulled up fleet deployment records. We've got reserve forces that the Zephyrians never knew about. Black Ops units, experimental ships, technologies we kept classified even from our allies. If we're abandoning conventional doctrine, we unleash everything, Morris confirmed. How do we start? Hayes activated another display showing Zephyrian trade routes and supply lines. The enemy assumes we'll retreat and consolidate. Instead, we go on the offensive immediately. Small, fast units hitting targets they don't expect us to know about. We make them question everything they think they understand about human capabilities. What about our reputation with other galactic species? Asked Defense Secretary Park. Some of these tactics could be seen as ... Our reputation won't matter if we're extinct, Kane interrupted. Besides, the galaxy is about to see what happens when you betray humanity. That lesson might be more valuable than any diplomatic niceties. President Morris stood, her decision made. Admiral Kane, implement the Prometheus protocols. Director Hayes, I want intelligence operations active within 72 hours. Secretary Park, begin preparations for total war mobilization. If the Zephyrians want to see human warfare without restraints, we'll give them exactly that. Kane saluted. What are our rules of engagement? Morris's expression hardened. There are no rules anymore. The Zephyrians made this a fight for species survival. We respond accordingly. Within hours, coded transmissions were racing across human space. Reserve fleets emerged from hidden bases, their crews briefed on operations that existed only in classified databases. Experimental weapons systems came online, technologies that had been deemed too dangerous or unpredictable for conventional warfare. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's 3 years of civilized cooperation had been just the surface. Beneath that veneer lay millions of years of evolution that had produced the most adaptable, persistent, and creative apex predator the universe had ever seen. The Zephyrians had awakened something they didn't understand and couldn't predict. The real war was about to begin. Captain Lisa Stone watched through her ship's stealth systems as the Zephyrian supply convoy moved through the Kepler system, completely unaware of the human presence. The crystalline beings had established this trade route, thinking it was secure. Hidden deep in territory they'd claimed from their former human allies, they were wrong. "Ghost Squadron, this is Stone. Remember, we're not here to fight fair. We're here to send a message." Her voice carried across the encrypted channel to the 11 other stealth ships hidden in the asteroid field. Each vessel was equipped with technology the Zephyrians had never seen: human innovations, developed in secret while their allies believed they understood human capabilities. The convoy consisted of 12 massive transport ships escorted by 8 crystalline warships. Under conventional doctrine, Stone's small force would never engage such overwhelming numbers. But humans had abandoned conventional doctrine the moment the Zephyrians pulled their betrayal. "Target the escorts first, but leave one alive," Stone ordered. "I want survivors to carry word back to their fleet." The attack came without warning. Human ships materialized from stealth, their weapon systems configured with modifications that turned standard energy weapons into something far more devastating. The first Zephyrian escort simply vanished, its crystalline hull unable to withstand the concentrated firepower from 3 directions simultaneously. The convoy scattered, but Stone had anticipated this. Her ships moved with a coordination that seemed chaotic to alien tactical thinking, but followed purely human intuition. Where Zephyrian formations were geometric and predictable, the human attack pattern resembled a pack hunt: fluid, adaptive, and utterly merciless. "Second wave now," Stone called as 4 more human ships dropped out of stealth behind the fleeing transports. The massive cargo vessels exploded in sequence, their hulls rupturing to spill critical supplies into the void. Food, weapons, medical supplies, technological components, all of it lost. The surviving Zephyrian escort ship transmitted desperate distress calls, exactly as Stone had planned. She wanted the enemy to know humans were hunting in their territory. More importantly, she wanted them to see how easily their defenses had been penetrated. "Ghost Leader, this is Control," came the voice from Strategic Command. "Mission accomplished?" "Affirmative." "Convoy destroyed. Message sent. Ghost Squadron returning to base." Stone watched the lone surviving escort ship jump to hyperspace, carrying news of the attack back to Zephyrian Command. "Control, what's our next target?" "Proceed to Rendezvous Point Tango. You'll link up with Phantom Company for the next phase." Phantom Company represented another aspect of human warfare that had shocked their enemies. While most galactic species drew clear distinctions between military and civilian operations, humans had weaponized psychology itself. Captain Rick Mason led a unit whose primary mission was to make the enemy afraid, not through superior firepower, but through unpredictability. "Stone, good to see you made it back," Mason greeted her at the clandestine base, hidden in a dead star system. "Ready for something that'll really mess with their heads?" Stone studied the mission parameters on her display. "We're going to attack their diplomatic convoy. That's against every interstellar law of warfare. The moment they betrayed us, interstellar law became irrelevant," Mason replied. "Besides, we're not killing diplomats. We're delivering our own diplomatic message." The plan was audacious even by human standards. A Zephyrian diplomatic mission was traveling to meet with potential new ally species who might join their coalition against humanity. Mason's team would intercept the convoy, disable their ships without killing anyone, and then deliver a very specific message. The operation went flawlessly. Human ships appeared around the diplomatic convoy like ghosts, their weapons targeting engines and communication systems with surgical precision. Within minutes, the Zephyrian ships were dead in space but completely intact. "This is Captain Mason of the Terran Defense Force." His transmission reached every ship in the convoy. "We could have destroyed you, but we chose not to. This is the difference between humans and those who betray their allies. We're sending coordinates for a safe system where you can repair your ships. Before you leave, you'll deliver a message to every species you were planning to meet." The message was simple but devastating. Any species that allied with the Zephyrians would face the same treatment their betrayers had received. Humanity would treat new allies with respect and honor, but enemies would discover that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. "Tell them," Mason concluded, "that humanity remembers every kindness and every betrayal. Choose wisely which one you want to be remembered for." The psychological warfare was already showing results. Intelligence reports indicated that 3 species had withdrawn from planned meetings with Zephyrian representatives. 2 others had privately reached out to human contacts, expressing interest in switching sides. But the most significant development came from an unexpected source. The Dratnari, a reptilian species that had been conquered by the hegemony decades earlier, sent a coded message to human forces: "The enemy of our enemy seeks alliance." Can the humans be trusted where others have failed? Stone reviewed the intelligence report with growing excitement. "Rick, look at this. The galaxy is full of species that have been betrayed or conquered by the hegemony Zephyrian alliance." "What? If we're not just fighting a war, what if we're leading a revolution?" Mason smiled. "Now that sounds like the kind of fight humans were born for." Dr. Maya Chen stepped back from the captured Zephyrian technology, her eyes bright with the kind of excitement that only came from a breakthrough that would change everything. The crystalline power core hummed on her laboratory table, its alien design partially disassembled to reveal secrets the Zephyrians never intended to share. "Admiral Kane, you need to see this," she called across the secure communication link to Fleet Command. "We've not only reverse-engineered their shield technology, we've improved it." Kane's weathered face appeared on the laboratory's main screen. "How much improvement are we talking about, Doctor?" "Our tests show a 40% increase in energy absorption efficiency." But that's not the best part. Shun activated a secondary display showing power flow diagrams. Human engineering approaches energy distribution differently than Zephyrian design philosophy. They optimize for perfection and stability. We optimize for adaptability and redundancy. Meaning? Their shields fail catastrophically when overloaded. Ours adapt, reroute, and keep fighting. We've essentially created shields that learn from enemy attacks and become stronger. Chun's smile widened. "There's more. The power cores we've reverse-engineered can be modified to overload on command. We're turning their own technology into weapons they can't defend against." The implications were staggering. Within weeks, human ships emerged from secret shipyards, equipped with hybrid technology that combined the best of human innovation with captured alien systems. But unlike their former Zephyrian allies, humans didn't simply copy existing designs, they reimagined them entirely. Commander Jake Rivers, promoted after his survival of the initial betrayal, stood on the bridge of humanity's newest battleship. The Retribution incorporated every lesson learned from 3 years of alien cooperation and 6 months of asymmetric warfare. Its hull gleamed with armor that could adapt to different energy weapons. Its weapon systems combined human creativity with alien precision, and its crew represented the best of human tactical innovation. "Sir, we're receiving confirmation from our new allies," his communications officer reported. "The Dratnari Rebellion has secured 3 more systems. The Valdris Republic has officially withdrawn from their hegemony treaties, and the Kef Confederacy is requesting human military advisors." Rivers nodded with satisfaction. The galaxy was reshaping itself around human leadership, not because humanity demanded dominance, but because they offered something the Zephyrian hegemony alliance never could: genuine partnership between equals. "What's our status on the primary target?" Rivers asked. "Admiral Kane's task force is in position. The combined fleet includes 47 human ships, 31 Dratnari vessels, and 18 Valdris cruisers. Intelligence confirms the Zephyrian homeworld's defenses are exactly what our spies reported." Rivers studied the tactical display. The plan was ambitious beyond anything humans had attempted since the war began. Rather than continue guerrilla operations, they were launching a direct assault on the heart of Zephyrian space. It was the kind of bold strategy that would either end the war or doom humanity entirely. All ships, this is Rivers. In 10 minutes, we jump directly into Zephyrian home system. Remember, our goal isn't conquest, it's justice. The Zephyrians began this war with betrayal. We end it by proving that honor and partnership are stronger than treachery and oppression. The fleet jumped as one, emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation around the crystalline world that served as the center of Zephyrian civilization. The planet's defenses activated immediately, but the human-led coalition was ready. Deploy the new weapons, Rivers ordered. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. The modified Zephyrian power cores launched from human ships like torpedoes, their crystalline forms indistinguishable from normal debris until they reached the planet's defensive grid. Then they activated, sending cascading overloads through the enemy's energy systems. Shields designed to repel any conventional attack found themselves fighting their own power sources, creating feedback loops that brought down defenses across the entire system. Zephyrian fleet is emerging from their defensive positions, the tactical officer reported. 200 ships, including their command vessel, Rivers smiled. They're coming out to fight conventionally. Perfect. They still don't understand what they're dealing with. The battle that followed would be studied by military strategists across the galaxy for generations. The Zephyrians fought with their characteristic precision and mathematical coordination, but they faced an enemy that had evolved beyond their understanding. Human ships moved in patterns that seemed random but followed intuitive logic. Drachnary vessels provided heavy firepower with ruthless efficiency. Valdris cruisers used their superior sensors to coordinate targeting solutions that turned the entire battlefield into a unified weapon. But the decisive moment came when Commander Vex, the Zephyrian who had orchestrated the original betrayal, transmitted on an open channel. Your tactics are chaos. There is no logic to your formations. Rivers replied, his voice carrying across every ship in both fleets. That's the difference between us. Vex, you fight with your minds. We fight with our hearts. And hearts don't calculate, they win. The Zephyrian command ship exploded moments later, struck by coordinated fire from 12 different vessels whose crews had learned to fight not as separate units, but as extensions of each other. The remaining enemy fleet scattered, their rigid command structure collapsing without central coordination. The war wasn't over, but the tide had turned completely. Humanity had proven that betrayal carried consequences, and the galaxy was learning to respect the species that turned treachery into triumph. The Galactic Peace Conference convened on neutral ground, a space station at the edge of civilized space where representatives from dozens of species gathered to witness what many considered impossible: the Zephyrian Empire seeking terms of surrender from humanity. President Morris sat across the conference table from Empress Zara, the crystalline leader whose predecessor had authorized the betrayal that started this war. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The species that had been dismissed as primitive newcomers now dictated terms to one of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. The Terran conditions are unprecedented, Empress Zara stated, her crystalline voice carrying harmonics of frustration. You demand complete technological exchange, reparations for the destroyed human vessels, and most significantly, the restructuring of our entire military command. Morris leaned back in her chair, her expression calm but implacable. Your predecessor believed humans could be used and discarded. The galaxy is now learning the cost of that miscalculation. These aren't just conditions for peace. They're investments in ensuring such betrayals never happen again. Director Hayes, now serving as humanity's chief negotiator, activated a holographic display showing the current state of galactic politics. The hegemony has lost 60% of their territory to liberation movements. The Zephyrian Empire's sphere of influence has contracted to less than half its former size. Meanwhile, the Terran Alliance now includes 47 species who chose partnership over domination. The transformation had been staggering. What began as humanity's desperate response to betrayal had evolved into a complete reshaping of galactic civilization. Species after species had abandoned their former overlords to join an alliance that offered something revolutionary, genuine equality between different forms of life. Admiral Kane entered the conference room, his dress uniform decorated with commendations from a dozen different species. "Madam President, the final hegemony stronghold has surrendered. The war is effectively over." A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. The conflict that had consumed the galaxy for nearly 2 years was ending not with humanity's destruction, but with their unprecedented victory. The species that entered galactic politics as junior partners to the Zephyrians now stood as the dominant force in known space. "Empress Zara," Morris addressed the crystalline leader directly, "your empire has a choice. You can join the Terran Alliance as equal partners, contributing your technological expertise while sharing in the benefits of true cooperation. Or you can maintain your independence and face the consequences of isolation in a galaxy that no longer tolerates betrayal." Zara's crystalline features shifted, and what humans had learned indicated deep consideration. "The terms you offer, they are more generous than we expected. Because despite everything, we remember that your people were our allies once," Kane interjected. "Humans don't forget betrayals, but we also don't forget the good times. Your choice now determines which memory defines our future relationship." The conference continued for 3 days, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Zephyrian Empire agreed to join the Terran Alliance, their advanced technology combining with human innovation to create possibilities neither species could achieve alone. The hegemony's former territories were reorganized into independent systems or absorbed into the growing alliance structure. Commander Rivers, now bearing the rank of Admiral, stood in the observation deck of humanity's newest space station, watching ships from dozens of species working together to build something unprecedented in galactic history. Drachnary engineers collaborated with human designers on new propulsion systems. Veldra's scientists shared research with Zephyrian scholars. Former enemies worked side by side, united by the simple principle that cooperation achieved more than conquest. "Hard to believe it all started with betrayal," commented Captain Stone, joining him at the viewport. Rivers nodded. "Maybe that's what makes humans different. Other species see betrayal as the end of trust. We see it as information about who deserves trust in the future." Dr. Chun approached with a datapad, her excitement barely contained. "Admiral, you need to see the latest breakthrough. By combining Zephyrian crystal technology with human adaptive engineering and Drachnary power systems, we've achieved something remarkable." Rivers reviewed the specifications, his eyes widening. Faster-than-light communication across galactic distances, real-time coordination between fleets separated by thousands of light years. The strategic implications are... Chun paused, searching for words. "We're talking about the ability to maintain a truly unified galactic civilization for the first time in history." Stone whistled softly. "The species that tried to destroy us just helped us create something that will revolutionize the galaxy." "That's very human," Rivers observed. "Taking something meant to hurt us and turning it into something that helps everyone." As the 3 officers watched, a new ship emerged from the construction yards, a vessel designed by humans, but built by workers from 7 different species. Its hull bore the symbol of the Terran Alliance, a simple circle representing equality, surrounded by stars representing the countless worlds now united under principles of mutual respect and shared prosperity. The betrayal that had nearly destroyed humanity had instead become the catalyst for the greatest advancement in galactic civilization since the development of faster-than-light travel. The galaxy had learned that humans possessed something far more dangerous than superior weapons or technology. They had the ability to turn any setback into an opportunity, any betrayal into a foundation for something better. The war was over, but humanity's real journey was just beginning. They had proven themselves in battle, but now they would prove themselves in peace, building a galactic civilization that honored the potential of every species while never forgetting the lessons learned when allies became enemies. In the end, the greatest human trait wasn't their capacity for war, it was their refusal to let betrayal make them less than they could be. The galaxy was about to discover just how far that philosophy could take them all.